Hi there, it's Michelle from CNC Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in New Zealand, and I'm bringing you another Global Monthly video hop. This month, our theme is in colors. So I'm going to show you how to make a card with the brand new Stampin' Up! In Colors that just came out at the beginning of May. But I did my sample card with one of the other set of In Colors. So if you're not familiar with In Colors, every year Stampin' Up! Brings out 5 colors that are only available for 2 years. And so that way we have our standard collections of the brights and the subtles and all those, but we have some special colors that only come around and they're good for 2 years. And so this year we just had one set retire and a brand new set come out. Now, before I forget, when you're finished watching my video, have a look at the links below to demonstrators around the world that are also doing videos showing you different in-color projects. They're participating in the Global Monthly Video Hop with me. So make sure you have a look and click on those links to get more ideas on in-colors. So with the in-colors, in the catalog, where the inks are, it shows the in-colors. And so the project that I have already done, this one here, is using the In Colors that are the 2021-2023 In Colors. So those colors are available until next year. And then we have a brand new set of 5 colors that just came out. So they're good for 2 years. So they're good from this year, 2022, until 2024. And the project I'm going to recreate will be using the new In Colors, but this was the one that I've already done. And the background paper with this was the New Horizons paper, which is in the mini catalog, which is still available to the end of May, I believe. However, this die that I used did retire with the last catalog, so I'll be using a different die. And these were the pens. I used the Stampin Write pens. So for that one, I used the Fresh Freesia, the Pale Papaya, Polished Pink, Soft Succulent, and Evening Evergreen. And for this card, I used Evening Evergreen as the base card as well. I use a stamp set that's just come out with the brand new catalog. This is called Good Feelings, and it has several very large stamps, so they're really good to take up space if you don't want to have a lot of other images on it or a lot of coloring. And we're going to use one of those with the Stamparatus. Now, because these stamps are quite large, you do need a larger block, or I suggest having the Stamparatus because it makes it so much easier. You don't have to worry about gripping it. And for the technique I'm going to show you today, you definitely want to use the Stamparatus because if you don't ink it up well, you're able to add more ink and get a better image. So we'll put those ones aside. And we'll talk about the new In Colors. So these are the new In Colors. They're very, very pretty. Sweet Sorbet, Parakeet Party, Tahitian Tide, Starry Sky, and Orchid Oasis. Now with the technique I'm showing you, you could mask, which means cover up part of the stamp to ink it up with your ink pad, but I'm going to show you how to do it with the Stampin' Write pens. Now we sell 2 different types of pens. We have Stampin' Write pens, and that's them there. They are made with the same ink as the pads. So if your pen is getting a bit weak, you can actually use the refill that you can get for the ink pad and refill your pen. You simply use tweezers to pull the nib off the end, and you put some drops through, and you can refill it. So that's one of the other great benefits, having the pens as well as the pads. Also, if you've stamped something and it just didn't come out, maybe you missed part of it when you inked it up with your pad, you can use the pen and help to add the parts that you missed. The pens come with 2 different tips. So we have a brush tip, and it's shown with a fat line, a wide line on one end, and a fine tip, which is shown with a smaller line. So These are brand new pens, so there we go. So there's the fine tip, so it's like a little ballpoint nib, sort of. And then the other side has got a brush end. So I'll be using all 5 of those colors for today's project. I just want to show you the other pens that we have are the Stampin' Blends. Now the Stampin' Blends come in pairs, and they come in a light and a dark. It's a bit more obvious with that. So this is the, I'm not familiar with the new words. What is this? The Tahitian Tide color. And so that's a light and a dark. So this color does not exactly match the pad. It's lighter or darker than the pad, as well as the Stampin' Write pens. But these pens are alcohol based, so you can use them. They're really good for coloring in, and they are permanent when you use them. So what I'm showing you today, do not use your Stampin' Blends with this technique, because if you color on your stamp, it will be permanently colored if you use the Stampin' Blends. But you can use the Stampin' Write because it's just like our ink pad. It's a water-based ink. So the other thing I'm going to use, I'm going to use one of the dies from the rectangle stitches frame dies. So one of those dies, because as I mentioned, the die that I used for my original sample has now retired. And I'm going to use some of the paper from this new DSP set called the Tea Boutique set. So this one uses all the different in colors. So it's got a lot of beautiful images with some of the new in colors. It does have a yellow as well, which isn't one of the in colors. But the greens and the blues and the red and the purples are there. And then the other side of them has solid colors. So it's a really beautiful set of DSP 6x6. And I thought I would use this one with envelopes because the saying says sending. So we're sending something off in the mail. That set goes quite well with the brand new Tea Boutique card and envelope set. So this one has envelopes and matching cards. So this pack here, you get 20. So you get 4 of each of the 5 different in colors. So these cards, I've already folded them. So I'm going to use one of these cards for the final card instead of just using the solid color for the card base. So once I color it in, I'll decide which of these to use. So basically that's what you need is a card base, white cardstock large enough for the sentiment, whatever you're stamping on it. So I've got a piece of white cardstock that's big enough for this die. And your Stampin' Write pens. So this sentiment is perfect because there's exactly 5 lines on there. So let's get started with making the card. So I'll bring the Stamparatus over. I've already put my stamp on there. Put this up here so you can see. And I just used a scrap piece of cardstock that's wide enough for this die. And I'll die cut it so the bottom part doesn't matter. But you just want to line up your stamp where you want it to go. And then I'm just going to put something under this side so I can ink it up. So normally what you would do, you would take your ink it up, and go ahead and stamp it. But I want to have 5 different colors. So I would have to carefully cover up each section if I wanted to do that with my stamp pad. But this sentiment has some lines that get very, very close to the rest of it. So trying to cover that up with paper or sticky would be quite difficult. So to get around that, what you can do is you can use the Stampin' Write pens. Now I did a little test run to figure out which order to color it. So with this one, I stamped it and then I found the paper that worked out perfectly because the shading in the paper gradiates the same as the words did. So for this one, because my paper that I'm going to use the DSP has got colors all over, I don't really have a gradation. So I've just drawn the colors on a bit of scrap paper to try to figure out which way. And I think I'm liking that way of doing it. So I'm going to start with the red and move down. So forgive me if I don't say the names all the time because this is such a new color. I'm not familiar with the name yet. So this is Sweet Sorbet. So what you do is using the brush tip, you just gently brush over the letters that you want to have this color ink on. And as I mentioned before, because they are so close, it's better to use pens. Now I'll bring this up just briefly so you can see. So see how I'm coloring? I might try to color on camera here. So I'm just coloring the first word in, and I'm just using the edge of the pen just to get the top edge of that word. And see how close the other letter gets there. If I tried to just do it with an ink pad, I might hit that letter and then I have to clean it off. So doing this on camera might be a bit more difficult than when I originally did it. So you color in as much as you can, and then what you need to do is you need to reactivate the ink because it may have dried in the time it took you to color it. So to do that, you huff on it. So you take it up to your mouth and you huff, like huff and puff, you know. So see how it gets steamy there? You want to huff on the ink to reactivate it, and then just put it back in your Stamparatus and just press over where you put your ink. There you go. Now there's some areas, see I got a little some elsewhere, and there's some areas that aren't quite as dark as I'd like. Now if you like that kind of light look, then leave it as is, or you can color it in. Now I'm going to turn this over because it'll probably be easier for me to color it this way. And I'm just going to do it again. A bit more emphasis on the areas that didn't seem to get the ink. And that looks like it was the G. And so just rubbing it sideways. So it looks like it was the G and the N, this part here. So I'll color that last. Hopefully that will make it come out better. And so using this Stamparatus, I can guarantee it's going to go in the same spot. So I'm going to huff it. And then just give it a rub. Now if you haven't used the Stamparatus before, a couple tips. One, when you're taking the plate off, take it off straight up and down. You can't pull it off at an angle. So just straight up, it comes off. The other thing is I used a bit of cardboard, which you get quite often when you get the large DSP and other things from Stampin' Up. And I cut it to create an L because when you stamp really close to the edge, because of the angle of the Stamparatus, you can't always get good pressure close to the edge. So I like to stamp near the center. Another thing is wrapping the magnets up with tape, because if they hit each other, they're very brittle and they can snap and be dangerous. And it also makes it easier to pull them up with the little flaps. So I just put some tape there, and then I just happen to have some spare magnets there. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. Now I could clean that off, but I don't necessarily need to because I'm not going to touch that part of the stamp again. So I am trying to find, oh, there's my sample. So I'm going with this gradient. So the next one will be the green, which is Parakeet Party. And I will take it off again because I'm going to have to huff on it anyway. And you could even, color half the word and then color the other half afterwards if you're finding it's not coming out as dark as you want. I've got to be careful around where the words are near other letters. But if you do get them on the other letters, that's okay, as long as you're not picking up ink from previous coating of ink. You could try to ink it all up and then just do one big huff, but I think it might dry in the meantime. So that's why I think it's probably better to do one color at a time. Yeah, my lighting is pretty bad because it's in the evening. It's getting on to autumn here in New Zealand, so days aren't as long as they used to be. And straight down. And let's see how sunshine comes out. I like to rub it a bit to make sure I don't miss spots. You can just give it a press. Now, see, that's quite light. I thought it might be because it's quite a big word. So I might try just doing part of the word at a time. See if that helps to darken it up quicker. So let's just do the sun part. So if you haven't already got your Stampin' Write pens, I do suggest you invest in them. They're great to have on hand. So I only did part of the word. See if I can get it to go quicker. Oh, see, that looks much darker. Now I'll do the other half of the word. But do not mistake using your blends on this, because as I said, the blends are alcohol based and they're permanent, so they would permanently color your stamp, but they would not come off the stamp. So when you tried to stamp your image on the paper, it wouldn't come off because they would have dried right onto your stamp. Okay, yep, I think that looks pretty good. I'll leave that as is. So next we're going to go with our Tahitian Tide, very pretty blue. There's lots of wonderful ideas with these pens. They definitely lend themselves, these colors, the new In Colors lend themselves toward holidays, beaches, etc. Kind of makes me think of that. Now I could do, there's actually 8 words in this. 7 words in this. I could do them all different, but I just decided to do one line at a time. So there's still ink on here. It just didn't transfer. Probably because it was too dry. And if I huff on that, let's see if I can transfer that bit of ink over. Yep, it transferred. So that's why doing a big word in one go is not a big stamp in one go. Doesn't always work because it can dry quickly. So it also depends on where you are, what the weather's like. Being a bit cooler here in New Zealand. Normally it's quite cold by now, but we're having a kind of a warm autumn at the moment, which is very nice. So I might carry on and finish up the rest off the screen and then come back and do the card for you. So you don't have to just sit there and listen to me huff and color. Okay, so there you have it, and I've finished. And because it is water-based ink, you can simply use your chamois, which mine has been used a lot, so it's quite stained, and just clean off your ink pad. So there you go, nice and clean, ready to be used again. So now I'm going to die cut that image using the stitch rectangle, and I'll be right back. So there you have it. So I've cut it out. Now that image doesn't fit. It's a bit smaller than the rectangle, and if you want it to be very close, what you can do is you can put just the end of it through and die cut it through your die cutting machine, and then shrink it down, and then the same at the top, cut it down a bit. But I think I might put some gems there, so I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So this is going to be here on top of that DSP, and I was thinking maybe going with the Sweet Sorbet background card, or let's see what the other card backgrounds look like now that we've stamped the image. That's quite subtle. What else have we got? Do it on the green. I'm not liking the green. On the Tahitian Tide. No, I don't think there's enough blue in the DSP for that one. And lucky last is the Starry Sky. No, that's a bit too busy for me. So I'm liking either one of these. So either the Sweet Sorbet, looks quite nice, or the Orchid Oasis. I'm just thinking that's a bit too bluey, I'd say. I think I'll go with the bright Sweet Sorbet. And the nice thing is it has a matching envelope to go with it. So I'm simply going to stick this down with my DSP. Actually, I'll just use some liquid glue. That'll make it quicker. And that is if the glue decides to come out. Maybe not so quick. I've been so busy working lately, I haven't had a chance to craft, so I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. What supplies are still good. I've been waiting eagerly for my pre-order to arrive so I can play with these colors. So I'm going to pop that down, make sure we're opening the envelope the correct way so we don't put things upside down. Pop that right onto the card. And then we're going to pop this up with some dimensionals. I like to cut my dimensionals in half so I get more use out of them, and just put a couple in the corners. And then I'm one of those that doesn't like to use too many dimensionals. I know people that like to go crazy with their dimensionals and use lots. Sorry about the shadows there. It's evening here. And we'll just do a couple halves in the middle. And then, now I will show you one more thing. So it's a fairly simple card, just showing you the technique of coloring with your Stampin' Writes and letting you have a look-see at the latest in colors. So make sure you hop along to the other videos and see what wonderful things they've made. I don't know if they're going to use the latest in colors or if they're going to use the other ones, but they should all be the current ones. So we're going to pop that there. Now, looks a little bit boring with that gap there. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to use the Stampin' Blends pens and color some jewels. So I've got pearls and I've also got the rhinestones. I'm thinking I might color the rhinestones. So because these are permanent pens, the Stampin' Blends, you can color on things like your embellishments. So I'm going to color on some of these. And I've done it before. You can see I've color all the time on my rhinestones. And as I said, my order only just arrived, so I still got everything packaged up. So when you're coloring, I suggest you use the darker of your blends because you can start out with the light one and see how it looks. The other nice thing with blends is you can color over multiple times and it just gets darker, or it blends with the other colors that you've got. So let's see, I think I'm going to color a couple of the small dots for the eyes on my words. And then I'm going to color some other ones just to put at the top and the bottom. So it's not so much space there. So we'll use that. When you get brand new products, they're hard to open. So color it on the straight onto the paper, and you just leave it for a little while to dry. So we've got the red dot, and we've got the green one. I like to use the hard tip so it doesn't mess up my brush. This green one's probably not going to turn out too dark because it's not a very dark color. And then I've got that one, which is the Orchid Oasis. So we'll do those dots. Then I think we might do a little mix of large, small, and medium in the other colors. So I'm going to color, don't know if you can see, so I'm going to color a large gem and a couple of the smaller ones. Actually, I think that one might be too big. Let's put the gems on. Usually I use my pick a tool, but I'm not sure where I've got that. So that's the green gem, so we'll pop that right over. Give you a little shininess there. And red one. So now you got gems that actually match the color. And then where that, I think this was the Orchid Oasis. So you see how they've got those little colors there? So what I'm thinking, because we got the red and the blue down here, I might color in the blue ones. And I think I might just do a large one and a couple smaller ones. And just put it down at the bottom to give a little emphasis and get your eye drawn to that part, not noticing the other areas. So, where do my scissors go? So we'll pop that there, and then put small ones on either side. Hopefully I'm doing this on camera. So I'm picking it up and I'm putting it on the bottom of the card right there. So usually with new in colors, there's ribbons and gems and all sorts that come out with them. I just haven't had a chance to purchase them, but if you don't have them and you get the Stampin' Blends, you can just make your own. So see, just got that there, and then I've just highlighted the dots with the other gems, so that just adds a bit of bling to the card. So hopefully you've enjoyed that Global Monthly Video Hop card using the Good Feelings stamp set, and this is the newest in colors for 2022 to 2024. Those are them there. And then we've also got the card that I did with the in colors that are carrying over for one more year. These are the 2021 to 2023 in colors. And so there, that one, I actually had gems that were the in colors, matched the in colors. So those gems were ones I had purchased. And these gems here, I've just colored rhinestones. So you can see the difference there. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I will list all the products in the description of this video, so if you want to purchase any of them, you will be able to find everything that I've used. I'll put both the original card and the new card products down there. And if you want to purchase anything, contact your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. If you're in New Zealand and don't already have a demonstrator, I'd love to be yours. And you can go find me at michellekritchley.stampinup.net. You can also go to my blog. I have do blogs of various cards and other projects, as well as other YouTube videos that I've done. Also, be sure to click on the links that will be listed below of the other demonstrators participating in this month's Global Video Hop, and they'll give you more ideas on what to do with the lovely in colors. So there you go. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.